Welcome in to Outkick the show, boys and girls. I am your fearless leader, Clay Travis. I hope you are having fantastic Tuesdays. Wherever in the world you may find yourself, we have got a loaded show to dive into. I want to give you the topics right off the jump here. LeBron, oh, the irony, getting sued over his barbershop show because he's got idiot lawyers and he made idiot decisions to go after Nick Saban in Alabama. Go figure. We're going to have some fun with this. Starbucks absurdity. They're shutting down on May the 29th, the afternoon, so that they can have a diversity training seminar. I'm going to walk you through why I think this case is total bullshit. The Preds, I got to tell you, I hate to go old man on you here, but they didn't start until 9:15 Central last night. I got to tell you, unacceptable. The NHL needs to do a better job of letting kids watch their games. I'll talk about my kids and why I have to put them to bed because they can't stay up and watch it. Sean Hannity, why are people so stupid? Why is this a big deal? Because people are so stupid. I will break it down for you. And finally, Netflix on Disney's trail, one of the most amazing media stories of our time. Netflix beat subscriber estimates and is surging, may soon pass Disney, may pass all of the Walt Disney Company. What does it mean about media? Good buy, bad buy, what's going on with Netflix, all of that we are going to get to and more. It's going to be fabulous. I hope that you guys are going to enjoy it. But you know who's definitely going to enjoy it? This guy. But first, I want to tell you, are you gambling on the NHL? Are you gambling on the NBA? Do you want to get prop bets in before the NFL draft? Make sure that you get the best possible number anywhere on the internet by shopping around with my friends at sportsbookreview.com. If you're not sure who they are, that's their logo up there. You see how it says sportsbookreview.com? That's the website you need to go to. If you're not gambling on the NBA and the NHL and the NFL, what the hell are you doing with your life? Check them out today, sportsbookreview.com. Also, I want to tell you this right now. Go get a mortgage, knuckleheads. My friend Ryan Kelly will take care of you. All you have to do is go to thehomeloanexpert.com, and if you get it done in April, I will give you a free weekend at a Vegas hotel if you say that you are refining, that you are pre-qualifying, that you are getting a new mortgage, and you tell them that Clay Travis sent you or Outkick sent you, then you get a free weekend at our hotel in Vegas for Outkick the weekend. Make sure that you do it. And I guarantee that you will have a good time, but at the minimum, you will get a free hotel. So get out there. Do it. TheHomeLoanExpert.com. Okay, LeBron is getting sued over the barbershop. Nick Saban basically told LeBron James, bitch, please, when LeBron James tried to complain that he was infringing on the copyright and intellectual property of LeBron James over this barbershop show. That's legitimately what Nick Saban said when he was asked about it in his press conference. The subtext of everything Nick Saban said was he smirked and he said, bitch, please. Because Nick Saban probably got better lawyers than LeBron James, even though those same lawyers tried to sue me. And because we know that there was no way that anybody with a reasonable mind could say Nick Saban was in the wrong when LeBron James tried to argue that he had copyrighted the ability to make a show talking about sports in a barbershop. This is the equivalent of arguing that you have copyrighted a sitcom and that nobody else has the right to put a family inside of a staged television to pretend to be a family and tell stories. I Love Lucy ain't suing the Cosby Show, ain't suing Family Ties. It's like me saying, hey, I came up with the idea to write a story that's not true. Yeah, dumbass, that's called fiction. There are millions of books that have been published which are not true. Okay? This is not copyrightable. But, interestingly, if you read the details surrounding this lawsuit, once LeBron James brought it up, he got sued. He got sued because he had had meetings with other companies about the idea for this show. And once he opened his big mouth and sent that letter and it turned into a story, the company that he had stolen the idea from the company that had pitched him on the idea of having a barbershop show, literally called The Shop, is now suing LeBron James. And now LeBron James is going to get deposed and have to break down and explain why he stole somebody else's idea and then threatened to sue somebody else over this idea. This is one of the dumbest things we've ever seen a professional athlete do, which is saying something. LeBron is reaping what he sowed. I told you when this happened, I said he had no case for intellectual property or copyright. I told you that any legitimate lawyer would have told him the same thing. So one of two things happened. Either LeBron James has the dumbest lawyers on the planet who aren't smart enough to realize that their client had no copyright or intellectual property claim, or more likely, LeBron James made the decision to try and argue something even though his attorneys told him it was a bad idea. Either way, this is why lawyers say the practice of law would be great but for the clients. LeBron James, not a very smart man. Either he hired dumb people or he refused to listen to smart people's advice. This is why you go to college, King James. This is why you're able to use the phrase sugar-coated and actually spell it correctly. Remember when LeBron James tweeted out sugar code, C-O-D-E? He tried to sugar code something. I'm sorry, it's hard for me to take anybody's position legitimately on any issue when they don't know that the phrase is sugar-coated. And when they try to actually argue, like LeBron did, that the word posse is racist. No, it's not racist. Your posse is just dumb, and that includes your lawyers, LeBron. You should have had better representation, because if you had, you wouldn't get sued right now. Make a smart decision, LeBron James. Sometimes, somebody just said that, sometimes shutting up and dribbling is the right option, because then it would have made sense and you wouldn't have actually gotten sued. LeBron, you idiot, you got dunked on by Nick Saban and Alabama, and now you're getting dunked on all balls in the face style by somebody else. You're going to have to probably end up paying out a lot of damages and or lawyer fees for something. And if you just kept your mouth shut, you would have had absolutely nothing to worry about. What you should have been worried about was the playoffs and the fact that the Indiana Pacers came into your house and kicked you right in the teeth, right in the balls, and beat your ass. You better hope on Wednesday that you play better, or else you'll have a lot of time to worry about all the legal issues out there when you're done with the NBA playoffs by May. All right, Starbucks insanity. All right, what I try to do every time the world goes crazy is get as much information on a subject as I can and then logically walk through it to see whether or not the way it is covered is making sense. Okay, so before we get to the fact that Starbucks is shutting down on May 29th for diversity training, which is one of the dumbest fucking things I've ever heard of, let's start here. This is a Philadelphia area Starbucks. Let's talk about the when, the what, the where, the how, all the details here. There are evidently a couple of black guys that walk into this Starbucks, and one of the guys asked to use the bathroom. At that point in time, he is told that the bathroom is for customers only. Why would the bathroom be for customers only? Because frequently in big cities on the East Coast in particular, where everybody lives close together and where there is a great deal of condensed humanity, there are often homeless people who want to use bathrooms in places like Starbucks. In fact, one of the guys who watches this show and lives in that neighborhood said the reason they have that policy is because there's a McDonald's right down the street that does not have a policy that you have to be a customer to use the bathroom, and it's filled with homeless people, and it's gross and dirty, and people don't want to go into that business. So, in many city settings, you don't have an open bathroom like you might in some suburban areas where there isn't a homeless population to worry about. In many city settings, bathrooms are not 100% public for that exact reason. And so, the policy that they have put in place is you have to be a customer. You have to spend money to use the bathroom. So let's go to that guy's situation. I don't know about you, but I have found myself in areas like this many times in my life. Ironically, I've also found myself in really not nice gas stations having to go to the bathroom where you have to get a key as well. And do you know what happens in that situation? Do you know what happens in that situation? When you are in that situation, okay, you buy something or you choose to go somewhere else. If I really have to go to the bathroom, I buy a newspaper if they tell me that I have to buy something in order to use their bathroom. Here's another thing. By and large, I feel bad just going into a business because somebody has to be paid to clean it and not patronizing that business and using their bathroom, right? In general, I feel bad doing that. But as a white guy, even with kids who have to go to the bathroom, I have been told many times before that I have to buy something even if my kid has to go to the bathroom. Such that sometimes when I don't need gas on the interstate and one of my kids has to go to the bathroom, I pull off at the next exit, I park on the side of the road, I get my kid out, I hold him up like a fire hydrant, and I let him just pee like a madman. Because I don't want to deal with having to go into a gas station when I don't need to buy something and ask them for a bathroom pass, right? As an adult, I time my travel so that when I stop to get gas, I can also go to the bathroom. Many of you have done this same thing. I am an expert, by the way. At doing an incredible job of holding up a kid and having him pee everywhere, okay? This is what I do. And then I will comment on what a great pee angle, arc, performance. Look how far that pee went. This is something that I regularly do, all right? So I have done this on many occasions. Nobody is asking this question. If this guy has to go to the bathroom to either pee or poop, why would he not buy something? How many times have you had to go to the bathroom in public? And when you sit down on the toilet or you stand there in front of the urinal and you pee, I think this all the time. I was like, man, I would have paid $20 just to be able to take that shit right now. I would have paid $100 because I got to pee so bad. If you have to go to use the bathroom so badly that you have to pee or poop, why would this guy, when he's told that he has to buy something, not buy the Philadelphia Inquirer for a fucking dollar and pay $1 and then go pee in the bathroom or go poop in the bathroom? Moreover, if you have to go to the bathroom that bad, wouldn't you leave and go somewhere else that you could use the bathroom if you were too cheap to pay to use the bathroom? Would you stay in that location and stay there for a long enough time that the police are called? And then, I want you to think about this. If you had to pee or poop so bad, regardless of your race, regardless of your gender, regardless of your ethnicity, regardless of your chosen sex, would you not then decide, rather than be arrested and have to shit my pants or pee all over myself, I think I'll probably just leave the Starbucks and go pee or poop somewhere else for free, including potentially the back alley. I have pissed in a lot of back alleys of bars, not because I couldn't afford or wasn't patronizing the bar, but because I wasn't willing to stand in line for a crowded bathroom in a bar, go right out the back alley, stand there with my dick in my hand, and pee in the back alley. I'm sorry. If I have to pee, I'm going to figure out a way to pee. If my kid has to pee, I'm going to figure out a way for this kid to pee. So I ask you, the jury, does any of this story make any sense at all? Starbucks got set up by a bunch of left-wingers who are probably going to sue them for millions of dollars, and they were too goddamn stupid to realize it, or they're not willing to fight it. Both of those are bad. None of this story makes sense. Again, follow me down the logic path. You go into Starbucks. You have to use the bathroom. You ask to use the bathroom. You are told that you have to buy something. Rather than buy a paper for $1, you decide to stay in there for a long enough time that the manager is going to call and report you for trespassing. Still having not gone to the bathroom, the police arrive and ask you 3 times to leave. You have to pee or poop so bad that you are going to allow them to handcuff you, put you in the back of a police cruiser. God knows how long it is going to take you to be able to get to a bathroom and actually be able to go to the bathroom. Somebody tell me how this is not a shakedown. Now, in defense of the shakedownees, I respect their ability to play the media like a goddamn fiddle. I respect their ability to take advantage of the gullibility of the left-wingers who immediately say this is racism, okay? If it was just racism, then Starbucks should just fire the manager. If they knew this manager was racist and he was discriminating regularly against black people and they set him up to make money, more power to them, because Starbucks can just fire this guy or girl. We don't know anything about the manager who was fired. Okay? This is the truth. None of this story makes actual sense when you actually break it down. Moreover, Starbucks is one of the most left-wing social justice warrior companies in the entire country. This is the truth, okay? None of this makes sense. Just think about it from a logical perspective. This is what lawyers do. This is why if I were a practicing attorney still, I would make millions of dollars doing that instead of making millions of dollars doing what I do now. I use my prodigious brain power to look at fact patterns and figure out whether they make sense. This story does not make sense. If you put me in front of a jury of 12 people and you put that guy on the stand, would he be able to explain when did he go to the bathroom? You had to go to the bathroom so bad that you held it for 4 hours and went through getting arrested before you were able to use a public toilet in the holding jail cell with tons of people sitting around watching you pee or poop? Are you really kidding me? None of this makes sense. This is a great example, a perfect example of media not asking good questions and just 100% buying into the era of whatever worldview they have. And so this new worldview we live in is people don't ask questions. They don't actually even do anything other than watch a 20-second video. And that's how we end up in this situation. That's the truth. And I'm going to have to block somebody. Boom. That's the truth. All right? I got to murder people out here. I happen to look over and see, oh, somebody's actually talking like a pussy. I'm going to have to eliminate them forever from being able to comment on this show. Question Everything is a great example of what everybody should be doing. What everybody should be doing. Clay Kyle will wipe your ass out. That's the truth. And so as a result, we end up in this absurd situation where everything is not actually making sense. The Starbucks case does not make sense. All right, I'm fired up about a lot of stuff coming on right now. All right, here's the truth. Why is the Preds game starting at 9:15 Central Time, 10:15 Eastern? I don't want to sound like an old dude here, but I gotta be honest. I'm an old dude here. Why is the NHL, which has no fans, doing such a crappy job of actually being able to handle what should be a relatively easy decision? The goal of putting on playoff games is to put on playoff games so people can actually watch them. Okay? If you are playing against Colorado, which the Preds are, and there are a lot of other teams out there that I'm sure feel the same way as I do. If you're an East Coast team, you should tip this game off as early as you possibly can. Okay? I am telling you that starting a game with an East Coast team at 10:15 Eastern last night, like the Preds against the Avs did, is patently absurd. Somebody in the NHL office should have to answer for this, and I see it happening for a lot of different East Coast teams. Now, I understand if you have to go all the way to California. If you have to go all the way to the West Coast, those games should start at the absolute latest. I'm sorry, West Coast people. If you're playing an East Coast team, your game should start no later than 6:30 Pacific. All right? The absolute latest, 9:30 Eastern. You got to get there early, got to take off work. I'm sorry. Most of the people live in the East or the Central time zone. I've spent a lot of time on the West Coast. Can't make the world make sense for you, okay? 20% of people live in the Mountain or the Pacific time zone. 80% of people live in the Central or the Eastern time zone. Last night with the Preds, that game did not start locally until 8:15 Mountain time. Why not start it at 6:15 or 6:30 Mountain time and let people in Colorado have to get out of work early and get there early if necessary? I am not talking just about me. I get up early in the morning, so I'm always unhappy with late starts. But I've got two boys who are thrilled about watching hockey games right now, that want to stay up and watch the Nashville Predators play in Nashville. This game does not start until 9:15. They are fourth graders and first graders. They've got to be in bed by, at the latest, 10 o'clock. That means at the most, they can see one period of the game. This is a joke. I'm telling you, East Coast and Central Time Zone, NHL, get your house in order. Take advantage of the audience that you're trying to grow. Don't kill your audience by losing the youngest generation, the people that you need the most. That is the truth. All right, I'm still fired up. Sean Hannity. This Sean Hannity story is ridiculous. People don't have functional brains in the media for sure now. This is a wheelhouse for me. I am both a lawyer and I make a living in the media now. Sean Hannity, having consulted with a famous person's lawyer, is in no way surprising. I rip ESPN to the high heavens regularly. Do you know who reps just about everybody at ESPN? The same people who rep me, CAA, one of the biggest Hollywood talent agencies in the country. That doesn't mean that somehow I'm in cahoots with everything that ESPN decides to do. Famous people and rich people and talented people talk. The law is a referral system. Sean Hannity has had this guy on his show, his radio show before, and said this guy is a friend of his. He said that he trusts his judgment. I don't understand how this is remotely a story at all. People are so dumb. Let me explain this. You can be a client of someone without actually being a client of someone, okay? Follow me down the path here. Don't assume and be stupid. Let me explain. If you come to talk to me about being represented by me, let's pretend that I'm still practicing law full time. I can consult with you about why I think I would be a good lawyer to represent you. I might, as part of that consultation, even take notes on your situation in the event that you later retain me. That client notes that I take, I would consider to be attorney-client privileged, even if you did not become my client. I would assert attorney-client privilege even if you were not actually my client. So Sean Hannity saying he was not my lawyer, I was not his client, and Cohen asserting attorney-client privilege are not mutually exclusive. That could very easily happen. You could have a conversation with me, meet with several other attorneys, and decide that it doesn't make sense for you to be my attorney. And then, as a result, I keep my notes, let's say, in the event that you come back and later want to be represented by me. And as part of that consultation, I am arguing that your notes are attorney-client privileged, but I am also simultaneously acknowledging, perhaps if I were Sean Hannity, that you are not my lawyer. That's the truth. And I don't know why that's complicated to understand. I think it's because my brain works well that I can easily see that distinction. I can see how Sean Hannity can argue I am not his client, and I can simultaneously see why Michael Cohen could argue, you know what, I've got attorney-client privilege here because I produced work product predicated on the idea that I might represent him. This is about journalistic ethics, you oaf. There are no journalistic ethics here. He isn't a journalist. He's an opinion maker. You can trust or not trust him. Remember when I told you guys are like, who's your source on that? How often am I right? My sources are good. They are impeccable. But for purposes of what I tell you, guess what? I am the motherfucking source. You either trust me or you don't trust me. All right? You either trust my opinions and agree that they are probably rooted in some intelligent discussion, which I am not going to cite to you and say, X told me Y, because then X won't tell me Z. That's how you keep a source. Sean Hannity has had this guy on his radio show. Go read a New York Times article about it if you want to, and specifically said, I think he's a good lawyer, he's a friend of mine. This idea that somehow Hannity has violated journalistic ethics is a bunch of masturbatory claptrap for loser beta males who sit around jerking off all day to CNN journalistic ethics from people like Boob Baldwin. The truth of the matter is, it's bullshit. This is not a story. This is somebody deciding they don't like Sean Hannity. If you don't like Sean Hannity, that's perfectly fine. You don't have to watch Sean Hannity. But the idea that people who watch Sean Hannity are surprised that Sean Hannity likes Donald Trump, or the people who are friends with Donald Trump, flies in the face of all reason. He has acknowledged that he likes Michael Cohen. He likely has been talking to Michael Cohen for years. And as part of that, this is not a story. It's just, I don't understand. The media, I think, is to blame here more than the public. The public we can accept is dumb, right? The average person out there of the most average intelligence, think about the person you know who's the most average intelligence on the planet. Half of the people are dumber than them. But I have a crazy idea. I think the media, which I include myself as a part of, and what I do on this show, is try to educate. I try to get the facts right. I try to break down stories for all of you. I try to make complex stories and situations into digestible and understandable stories, right? There are very few times that if you watch my show or listen to my show or read my site that you can point to anything and say, that's factually inaccurate. You might not agree with the opinions that I reach, but the facts that I build those opinions on are foundationally accurate, okay? So many people in the media today, particularly on social media, are worthless when it comes to getting the most basic facts right. They don't think about the facts, they rush to the outcome. And this is the lawyer in me who was taught in law school what matters are three things: the facts, the facts, the facts. And so if you get to me, I swear to God, I'm going to have to block you. It's a conflict of interest. No, it isn't! It's not a fucking conflict of interest! You are an ignoramus! You literally are not smart enough to even understand what you are arguing. It's not a conflict of interest. A conflict of interest is when you say one thing and do the opposite. That is called a conflict. When you are in the camp of defending Donald Trump all day long and you defend Donald Trump's lawyer too, that's the same thing. It's the exact opposite of a conflict of motherfucking interest. Use your brains. A conflict means two things which are dissimilar. If I punch you in the mouth, we have a conflict. If I put my arm around you, that is not a conflict. The fact that Sean Hannity, who is in love with Donald Trump, would simultaneously be defending Donald Trump's lawyer during an investigation is not a conflict. That's the same goddamn thing. Some of you are so dumb, you make my head hurt. And if I actually read the comments and I see your stupidity, I have to actually kill you. Because I can't even manage to see you being so stupid on my screen. Here's the deal. When you are smart like I am, you can have two differing opinions in your head at all times. That's what lawyers do. And then within those differing opinions, we analyze both sides and we come to a conclusion, and that's the side we believe. That's a conflict. That's resolving what might be a conflict. Which side am I on? Okay? It's not a conflict to defend a guy and then also defend a guy's lawyer. It's in fact one and the same. You are on the same side. It would be a conflict if Sean Hannity had been saying, this guy's an awful lawyer. You can't trust anything this guy says. And then it came out that Sean Hannity had been meeting with him and using him as an attorney his own self. That would be a conflict. He would be saying he's a shitty lawyer to the public and then not using him in his private life. He's saying he's a good lawyer in public And then he's also consulting with him in his private life. That is evidence of consistency. You can disagree with it. You can be upset and think that Sean Hannity is bad for America because he's defending Donald Trump and he's friends with him. But it is not a conflict. And people who are arguing that are not smart enough to even understand how stupid their argument is. Don't be conflict of interest guy unless there's an actual conflict. Finally, Netflix right now. Where's Dow Guy? Dow Guy is out there right now, and this is amazing. Netflix is right now up $26 today. Netflix is up $26 today. Not the kind of guy to brag, but Twitter is up 12% today right now. Twitter is up over $3 today. All right, and I think WWE almost hit an all-time high. Dow is up 260, but Netflix is up big. And what I love about Netflix, I may spend some time tomorrow talking about Netflix because I've already gone long today having to murder so many people. I got to tell you, Netflix to me is the most incredible media story of this generation. Think about this for a minute. I want to leave you with this idea. Disney right now owns Disneyland, Disney World, large sections of France, Disneyland, the new theme park in China. They own all the movies ever made by Disney. They own all the intellectual property surrounding it. They own Pixar. They own Marvel. They own Star Wars. They own so many different assets out there. They own ESPN. They own ABC, Disney Channel on cable. All these different situations. Disney, all those assets is valued at $154 billion. Yesterday, Netflix announced they hit 125.6 million subscribers. And 125.6 million subscribers means that Netflix right now, as I'm looking at my stock charts, is valued at $145 billion. Netflix right now is almost the exact same size as the Walt Disney Company. This is a monumental moment in the history of media. Because what Netflix is doing right now is flat out unbelievable. They are changing the game and disrupting everything about media. And the most amazing thing about Netflix now is that almost all of their growth is occurring in foreign countries. They have way more international subscribers now than they do national subscribers. And the question that I have is, what's the ceiling for Netflix? Because how many people in the world will end up subscribing to Netflix before all is said and done? How many of them have the wireless capability? How many of them have the intellect? How many of them have the financial resources? Because I don't know. I don't know what the number is. There are 7 billion people in the world. Is it possible that at some point Netflix could have 500 million subscribers? I would think that's probably possible. Is it possible that they could have 1 billion subscribers? That seems insane, but I don't know. I would love to know internally what Netflix's market is. How many people can afford to pay for Netflix? Because I own this stock, and I have owned it for a little while now, but I absolutely love what their potential is because I think they can be for entertainment what Google is for search, what Facebook is for social, what Apple is for the phone. I think that Netflix can be what those companies are going to be, and certainly that's the motivation behind the decisions that Disney is making. So I don't know what the outcome is going to be. I can't claim to see the future, but I own Netflix stock, and I'm glad that I do. And man, I am intrigued. You know, I've been talking about this company a lot right now. I don't know if I want to buy more right now because it's at an all-time high, and again, the market cap's at $145 billion. But over the next 10 years, I love the idea of owning Netflix stock and just not paying attention to it. So anyway, I think that you guys should pay attention. Stop. And by the way, I want to respond to this loser here, and then I'm going to block him because this guy's been a cunt. He's been sending me messages for a long time. There isn't an issue with having right-wing news and having left-wing news, so long as people understand that's what they're buying into, okay? The consumer can decide what they want to buy into. And so I don't have a problem with Sean Hannity, because if you're not smart enough to understand that Sean Hannity is right now defending the president's perspective, then you're probably not smart enough to understand that Rachel Maddow is defending the Democrat perspective every day. They are not journalists. They are advocates, zealous advocates for their side of the political equation. If that is what you want to be entertained by, that's fine. Sit down on your evening sofa and convince yourself all the time that you are, in fact, a person who is getting unbiased news when you're getting a slanted version of the news. What I encourage people to do is, one, not be a TV guy. Okay? I get almost all my news via written form because it's easier for me to not be distracted by the bells and whistles of video and everything else. I would tell you this right now. If you want to be as informed as you possibly can be, read 2 newspapers every day. Okay? I get the actual physical newspapers delivered to my house. I read the New York Times every day, and I read the Wall Street Journal every day. That's where I get all of my information. Okay? That balances me out. If I read the Wall Street Journal editorial page and I read the New York Times editorial page, I can be comfortable that I have 2 divergent perspectives that I am reading every day. I can look at the front pages and see the way they cover the news and see what their slant is. The Wall Street Journal is by and large going to be more conservative and business-based. The New York Times is going to be more liberal and individual biased. Okay? Everybody has a bias. Balancing out your news bias by consuming a variety of different news sources is the best possible way to ensure that you are able to factually analyze the truth and not be sucked into believing one side is 100% right and the other side is 100% wrong. There's not very many people who do that, because I think there's so much money to be made in being right or left and convincing everybody that the other side is evil. If you read and listen to me, what you will see is that I tend to focus on 3 things: the facts, the facts, the facts. And I don't get caught up in social media hysteria. One of my buddies from law school said, somehow you've managed to make a living being the most reasonable person in the media. I think that's accurate. I get called controversial and everything else, but when you really break down what I do, I am the most reasonable person when it comes to looking at all the news. I look at the facts, try to figure out whether or not the facts make sense, and then determine what the story is from there. That's the truth. The other thing is, yeah, you can count me as 2 sources because I got 2 divergent perspectives going on constantly in my head, and I'm coming to what I consider to be the conclusion that's the most just. You don't have to agree with me, but you definitely have to agree that I am coming to it from a factual basis. And if I get something wrong factually, I actually come to you and admit, you know what, I got this wrong. And I've done that several times on this show. I'll sit down as recently as last week. I came and I said, hey, I misused the term impeachment. I was talking about impeachment as if it meant removal from office. I try to be honest with you guys I possibly can. Plus, like you said, I've got an incredible haircut. I love all of you. My name is Clay Travis. Appreciate you coming and hanging out with me. Don't be a pussy, boys and girls. If you enjoyed this show, share it with your friends. That's how we're growing. We'll be live tomorrow, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern. This is Outkick, the coverage. D-Bat, boys and girls.